ambassadors.
Good morning. I am Randall Gary, very proud superintendent in Spartanburg School District 5. Today I have the privilege to welcome Governor McMaster and Senator Martin and many others to Tiger River Elementary School as we highlight the importance of school safety and school resource officers. I'd like to acknowledge a few people who are here with us today. First of all, our principal of Tiger River Elementary School, Mr. Shane Doherty. Thank you so much. I have a lot of people and they're kind of scattered, so thank you, Mr. Doherty. We appreciate your hospitality. I want to recognize these students on the front row. These are our ambassadors. Can you guys just stand up for a moment? Thank you so much. We appreciate, thank you. Great. We appreciate you guys and the manner in which you welcomed everybody and shook their hands. The governor had an opportunity to brag on you, so thank you so much. You can have a seat. And for our teachers here that are in the room, that most of our teachers are in a classroom doing what they do best, but there are a few of our teachers here. Thank you so much. I also want to recognize our school resource officer, Officer Tommy Brooks, who's with us today. We have a District 5 Director of Safety and Emergency Services, Mr. Ryan Cawthorn. He's back behind the sign here. Our Duncan Police Officer, Chief Ben Cox. We've shared a great working relationship over the years. Of course, Shane Martin is here, our representative here, Senator Shane Martin. I also want to with Ms. Rita Allison here, who's a former board member in Spartanburg District 5, but is the governor's appointee to the State Board of Education and chairperson, so we thank you for being there. And also we have the vice president of our school board, Mr. Mark Cleveland, who's here. Thank you so much. In District 5, the safety of students and staff is definitely our highest priority. The decision we make every day begins with the commitment to provide a safe environment for our students and our children so that they can learn and that they can thrive. Having a dedicated, full-time school resource officer at every school is a critical part of that mission, and we are grateful for the state's leadership in making this a reality. We also know that keeping our schools safe is not just our job alone. It requires strong partnerships with our families, our local law enforcement, and our state leaders. Together, we're working to ensure that every child has the opportunity to learn in an environment where they feel safe. Thank you, Governor McMaster. Thank you, Senator Martin, to each of you, and for all of you for your leadership in making this a reality. So at this time, it is my honor to welcome to the microphone our governor, Governor Henry McMaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Gary, I enjoyed speaking with you and with Principal Doherty a little while ago. We had a great conversation about what comes next. And I'll tell you, it's a thrill to be at this school. It's a beautiful school. And looking at these children or these young people, you know, one day they're going to be where we are. There was I remember a state senator years ago, it was Glenn Reese from Spartanburg. He said that he was a school teacher for a number of years, and he was in the Senate. I was lieutenant governor. I was presiding at that time, and we'd always welcome all the visitors that come to the Senate, Rita. And there were a lot of school children up there, maybe this age, maybe a little. I think they were third graders. And Senator Reese looked up and he welcomed everybody, and he said, If I had known back then when I was teaching that these children would grow up to be adults, I'd have worked a little bit harder to see that I taught them something. But it's a fact, that's what's going to happen. And what happens to them now in these years is what's going to determine how they do later. So what is happening in this school is critical. There's nothing more important that we do than educating our young people. And we got to do it right, and it costs money. And there's some things that are essential. One is we have to have good teachers. We got to have the very best teachers, and they can't work for free. We know that. We need to pay them. We need to pay them well. We need to support them. We need to give them all the tools that they need. When I came into office, we realized that we only had about 400 school resource officers. Now, a school resource officer makes a big difference. If you're a parent or if you're a child, children usually don't worry too much, but the parents do. And if the parents have to worry all day long if that child is safe, if there are going to be problems there, then that's going to take away from what the parent does. The parent's going to be anxious, and that's going to lead to the parent wanting to be calling those children all day on their cell phones and all that sort of stuff. We can't have that. And we've taken the cell phones out. That's good. But we have to let the parents be assured that that school is safe. And so that is why we saw we had 400 resource officers out of 1,284 schools, public schools. That's not good. So we started working on it. And the goal was to have every single one of those schools to have a trained, certified, law enforcement, armed officer in that school. Not a retired police officer, not a retired military person, someone who is trained in school safety. So we started working on it. And we now, I think we're the only state in the country that has a school, a course, a school, a program designed strictly for school resource officers. It's the old Gilbert Elementary School. They have shooter training there, what to do in the school. Nobody else has that. We also have a statewide criminal justice academy. All our officers go through that training. And also these school resource officers undergo retraining and retraining. And I'm happy to say that today we either have a school resource officer in that school. I think we're up to almost, we're about 100 short. But we have the money in those schools right now to hire one. So we've achieved, right on the edge of achieving what we set out to achieve. And that will make a big difference in every school. I remember years ago, Sheriff Alan Sloan in Richland County was telling a story about a lady that was at a picnic they were having somewhere. And she brought her little boy up to him and said, "Now, son, if you mess up, the sheriff's going to get you." And the Sheriff Sloan said, "Well, son, I am a law enforcement officer, but we're not going to have any trouble. What I want you to know is if you are worried about anything, if you are scared, if you have a problem, you come to me, and I will help you. I'm here to make you safe and comfortable." Isn't that right? And that's how it works. That's the right attitude. We have caught on. Now what we need to do is to be sure that we maintain that and we maintain our momentum on teacher pay. My goal was to be at $50,000 minimum for a brand new teacher by next year. We're just about to get there, and I'm confident that we will get there. And one reason I'm confident is because this man here, named Shane Martin, who is a state senator, he went to work with us. And I remember one particular time we were trying to get over the next hurdle, and we didn't look like we were going to make it, Rita. So Senator Martin came down and wanted to help. We said, "This is what we need." He said, "I'll get it done." You know what he did? He went right straight up to the Senate and went and talked to the people that were writing the bill and said, "Put this however many $1 million there are in that today." And they did, and they voted on it, and that's why we're where we are right now. So I want to thank Senator Shane Martin for what he did. And also, Bobby Cox is a great advocate as well. We have a lot of great people working on this. So I want to promise you that we understand. I think in the last decade or so, or maybe a little bit longer, we've really come to understand exactly what we need to do with these schools and how critical it is. So we are there. So we've reached our goal on the school resource officers, but we want to keep going. We need more and more. And I would ask everyone here to don't presume that the legislative leaders know exactly what you need. You got to pick up the phone and call. And you got a lot of people you can call. You can call Rita Allison. You can call Shane. You can call me. Call somebody and let us know what you need, and we'll respond. And now the final thing I'd like to do, I want to take a moment. I want to ask these ambassadors if they will please stand up. You know, the hardest thing they say in all the studies, the most difficult thing for anybody to do, adult people, is make a public speech. People are more afraid of having to say something in public than they are of heights, alligators, fast trains, loud noises. So I just want each of you to, this is going to be easy, just say hello and state your name. If you turn around and do that, and let's start. Y'all be seated, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. I'm Shane Martin, as he mentioned, and proud to be your state senator. I want to thank my wife, Amy, for coming with me today. Can't do anything without her, so I'm forced behind me. I think back, my mother, we're in a school setting. My mother taught public elementary school here in Spartanburg for 44 years, so there's a lot of you teachers out here that's got a little ways to go. So anyway, so keep digging. But when I've been able to chair the law enforcement budget in the state Senate for several years now. And with that, when I talk to my wife coming down the road back and forth to Columbia when we're down there in session, I want to be effective and I want to make a difference. So there's votes that come and votes that go, but the one thing that I've kind of honed my skill set around is law enforcement. I'm proud to get law enforcement what they need to be successful. And when we have vacancies, we try to fill them. So when the governor called me, we're talking about the resource officers, and we sat there and we realized that there was 100 and something vacancies that were, I think it was around 170 schools in this state that did not have a resource officer. So I think back to when I was on the school board, I had a superintendent from District 6, Darrell Lawrence. This is the one thing he taught me when I was on the school board. He said, Shane, we're not going to get everything right. We're not going to make all the right decisions. We're not going to fix every problem. But you need to take the approach of what did you do when you knew. So that stuck with me. So when the governor called me to his office to talk about this, I said to myself, now I know. What are we going to do about it? At that point, the budget had already been through the House. It was sitting in the Senate at the time. And we realized kind of late in the game that we needed to fund a resource officer in every school. So it was an easy task. You know, you see politics now. You think people are always fighting in Columbia. The one thing we gel on in Columbia is teachers and law enforcement. Most of the votes are unanimous. So when I went to the Senate, I don't want to take credit. I know he's giving me credit, but I don't want to take all the credit. I got support from all the senators, Democrat, Republican, male or female, it didn't matter. It was unanimous in the Senate. And then when we sent that back over with an explanation to the House, where people like Representative Cox were over there, they passed it out as well. But it was all because we worked together. So you ambassadors sitting on the front row, we're all going to have different ideas. We're not going to know everything, but you have to stand up and tell people when there's a problem so that you can work together to fix it. So I'm proud today that we're continuing that. The governor's had a vision of getting resource officers in every school. He's also wants our minimum teacher pay to be at $50,000. We're $1,500 short of that minimum threshold. And I feel certain that we're going to keep the money in for the school resource officers, and we're going to let him get his final goal of that teacher's minimum salary at $50,000. So I just thank y'all for being here today. I want to thank all the resource officers like Tommy, who's standing behind us. When we say that there's some vacancies yet to fill, the money's there, it's hard today to find the right people. You can't just go and find somebody and say, hey, here's some money, be a school resource officer. You got to have the passion and the heart and the love for children and what you're doing, like Tommy standing behind me. So Tommy, I want to thank you for what you do. So if you know somebody like Tommy that wants to be a school resource officer somewhere, you need to let them know, because the money's there, but we've got to find the right person. So thanks for everybody standing behind me today, and let's just continue to work together to keep our children safe. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Oliver. I'm the Deputy Director of the Department of Public Safety, and the Governor talked about how nervous you can get up here talking in front of a crowd, and y'all did an excellent job. But I'll tell you, when my bosses are standing back here, the Governor and Senator Martin is my budget chair, I feel the heat sometimes on the back of me, so I certainly understand what he's talking about. Congratulations to y'all. I tell you, you have a beautiful campus here. Being a state trooper most of my life, when I was coming in and I saw the road coming in, first thing popped in my mind was, traffic doesn't back up on the main road out there. Whoever thought of that, y'all did a great job, so thank y'all for doing that. On behalf of Director Rob Woods, we want to give thanks to Governor McMaster and Senator Shane Martin for being here this morning, and to the students and faculty of Tiger River Elementary School for hosting us today as we celebrate a tremendous milestone for our state school resource officer program. I was Chief of Staff at DPS. We got a call from the governor's staff probably about 2021 and asked us to take this program and sort of spearhead it into the future. And we sort of had to put it together from the ground up. The Department of Education had done a good job, but we were tasked with moving forward with it. And we've done an excellent job with it, along with the staff. Mike Tucker staying over there, he leads that program for DPS, and he's done an excellent job. And we certainly do appreciate all the DPS staff for doing that. But mainly, we appreciate the legislature and the governor's office getting behind the funding stream. It's exactly like Senator Martin said. It was last minute this year, and we wasn't sure it was going to happen. And the governor been pushing it for several years. But Governor, thank you. It worked out. So we're going to continue to move forward. We're close. We have the money now to fund every empty space school resource officer in the state, and that's what we're going to do. All we have to do is find the right people. And I'm going to sort of repeat what the senator said. If you, somebody out there, or you know somebody out there that would make a good police officer in general, or especially a school resource officer, we'll sign them up, or somebody will sign them up. There's agencies across the state that are having trouble doing that. We want them to do it. We want to keep our kids safe, and we are fortunate to have an administration here in South Carolina that looks out, like they said, for the teachers and for law enforcement. We've gotten some pretty good raises this year. We've gotten a school resource officer in every school, so we're fortunate to be able to move forward like that. Thank y'all.
Good morning. I'm Ben Cox. I'm fortunate enough to be the Chief of Police here at Duncan Police Department. I'm super appreciative. I want to give thanks to Governor, making sure the funding is there, Senator Martin, to even have the opportunity to apply. I'm appreciative of DPS for getting us through this process and being alongside of us when we were awarded that money. They've been right there with us, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to, explaining everything to us. So super appreciative of everybody making it happen. We have 10 people in our SRO division. 2 work full-time for the district, and Lieutenant Cothran and Officer Roper. Out of those 10, I cannot think of, there's a couple, but I can't think of anybody better that embodies those characteristics that Senator Martin was mentioning other than Tommy Brooks right here. Could not think of anybody better to be in this school with a new school to fill this grant. He is all those things. There's so many people, adults in this area that could tell you stories of having Tommy as their SRO or just knowing Tommy as the police officer in Duncan. So I could not think of anybody better. District 5 is personal to me. I grew up going to school here, played football at the high school. My wife's been teaching in this district for 22 years, and now my son's going to school here. So as the chief, I'm truly committed to a partnership with District 5 and keeping that strong. And Dr. Gary and the rest of the staff has been amazing in helping me do some of the things I've wanted to do and working alongside them in the things that they need from us. And now the state is just helping me strengthen that relationship even more and supporting me in my vision with that by having these fundings available to us. There's nothing better that you could allocate funding for safety and children, and with this, the state allows us to put it together. So I'm super appreciative. Duncan's super appreciative. Thank you all.
Anybody else want to talk? Well, this is a big day to celebrate what's going on all over the state. It's a great school. I want to thank all the teachers, all the administrators, the resource officers, all that are making it work. And want to urge y'all to think big. You want to hear a story? Finish with a story. There was a young lawyer, this was years ago, went in to see Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes on U.S. Supreme Court. He said, Mr. Justice Holmes, he says, I'm worried. He says, there's so many young lawyers out there trying to get these jobs and go up that ladder. He says, I just don't know if I can make it. I don't know if there's room for me. And the justice says, son, there's plenty of room at the top. So what I want to tell you is you got an opportunity to go right to the top. You got a great new school building. You got great teachers. You got great administrators, great leaders. There's no reason why you can't go right straight to the top. And I know, being children of South Carolina, I know you will. Are there any questions anyone has? Anything anyone else wants to say? Yes, sir.
Of course, you mentioned getting that $50,000 minimum next year. As far as school safety goes, it might be a little early to start talking about the budget, but anything that you want to prioritize around school safety budget?
We want to listen to the teachers, administrators, and parents and see what they see. What we want to do, we want to keep that pay going. We want to be sure that whatever tools they need, in addition to personnel, to keep the children and themselves and the staff safe when they're at school. That should be a place where there's nothing to worry about except learning, except learning what is being presented to you. I mean, this is something you never finish with this. The world changes, technology changes. We have to always be listening and working hard. We are fortunate to have the very best law enforcement in South Carolina, in the country, in my opinion. We, from the law officers, from the sheriff's offices, from the state law enforcement division to the DPS, that is including the highway patrol, and we have a great establishment, and it fits in well with our great military tradition in South Carolina. We have 8 major military bases. I don't think any other state has that many, but we've been involved deeply in with military our entire existence. We started off in 1670, and we've been deeply involved. We're getting ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, which I'll teach you a little something right now. It was won in South Carolina when our militia with Francis Marion, General Sumter, and General Pickens defeated Lord Cornwallis, most notably in Cowpens, which is not far from here, and just before that, the Battle of Kings Mountain, and just before that, at Hook's Retreat at Williamson's Plantation. This was the turning point of the American Revolution. Cornwallis himself said, we can't beat them. We can't, our southern strategy for the southern colonies is in defeat. We have lost. And they went back and the last shots were fired somewhere else, but the victory was won right here. So we need to be very proud of that. And I tell the young people, be sure to know who you are, know where you came from, know how you got here, know what all our state has been through. And be proud of South Carolina, because there's not another state with that history among them all. That's a good answer. What was your question? Oh, yes. We're always looking for the very best to train. That's why with our SRO, the School Resource Officer training, which is unique in the country, particularly with that active shooter school. That's something, no one has something like that. But we're always encouraging people to get into law enforcement, and that's why we've raised the pay. We've also we have eliminated state income tax on retired pay for veterans. We need to do more of those kind of things for our first responders and our law officers, because we need them. They're critical, and people have to be able to support a family, support themselves and their family. And for these critical jobs on which all other things depend, it's important that we have all we need and the very best. Okay. The pressure of what? Yeah, the hoaxes. Those people that calling in those hoaxes ought to go to jail. I mean, that is a terrible thing to do to a community, because, of course, the law enforcement, you have to react as though it's 100% true, because it might be. You can't let down your guard. And just the one that happened just the other day, what day was it, at the university, at USC, the response by law enforcement there, I was out on Pendleton Street when the USC police rode by with blue lights blazing and sirens and all that. The response was phenomenal. And people who were up in buildings who were looking down and watching them converge on the Cooper Library and other places around have all expressed their great appreciation for the professionalism of the way that was handled. I think some of the students trying to get out of the library, I think there were a couple that were injured. I think they were just minor injuries and might have run into a door. I don't know. But those kind of things, you never know when it's a hoax, but it's treated as a hoax, and that disrupts everything. Not only classes, but the work day, the traffic, the arteries of traffic arteries are shut down for a period of time. In this case, it was, I think it's about an hour. So the people that do that need to go to jail, and we need to find them, we need to prosecute them, and send the message that you cannot disrupt a community like that. It goes to our national security as well. Anything else? You don't have any more? All right. Anything anybody wants to say? All right. Superintendent, principal, anything else? Okay. Well, that's the end of this. Thank you very much.